Hey, good morning. And as usually, another Friday and another Sales and Marketing Fry Talks. Today, me, Andrei Suchenko, and Roland Sozolinch are in studio. And today we are going to discuss one quite interesting and insightful survey done by LinkedIn. It's called LinkedIn B2B Technology Buyer and Marketer Survey. I haven't seen it before, but this time I came across and we discussed with Roland that it's so insightful that it's a good idea to actually share it with you. And in this survey, there are more than 4,000 actually professionals from all around the world participated, and it provides quite a few important insights on both market opportunity for the tech companies, but also about the buyer preferences in terms of the content, the quality of the content, channels, and many other things. But also it consists of some data on how other tech marketeers are, adapting to the new reality, to the changing world, and what they do and what works for them and what's not. And so I suggest that we spend this half an hour going through some of these insights. Probably we will not be able to, cover them all, but the report is available out there. You can definitely search and find it. We will post the link directly to the report. If you are interested, you can find it in the comments for this podcast. So let's start then, probably. First, I think what is really important to see that there are three major areas of investments what B2B tech buyers mentioned, and not a big surprise, I think, right, Rowan? What are these areas? Pretty much they are actually equally spread in terms of their percentage. First of all, it's about the cybersecurity. Secondly, it's about the cloud native platforms, and obviously AI. Those are three main areas where the B2B buyers are investing today, right? And where they see the big importance for them.
Yes, and I think I would like particularly to emphasize AI because today AI is indeed extremely hot topic ever since Chat GPT was released to public, I think in November. So I think that even if companies perhaps do not have a clear use case for AI in terms of communication, I think it's becoming increasingly difficult to sell technologies if you cannot say that it includes some AI features. That becomes just, I think, expectation in market. And cybersecurity, I think it's a hot topic, and it will persist as a hot topic. And I think in terms of hype, cybersecurity is certainly more serious and more mature offering than AI, because for AI, I think there's still much to figure out. What do you think, Andres?
No, absolutely. I think AI probably is top of mind, for many of us, and we are just, looking forward to see how that all will evolve and what it will bring. Of course, there are both some kind of positive things what it already generates for all of us, especially those who are working at marketing, but there are some concerns also what we still need to understand. But nevertheless, so then coming back to the survey, despite those investment areas what we just discussed, there are also some challenges what those B2B buyers shared. These challenges are mainly related to things that can help them justify those investments. So basically, having the right technology to stay ahead of the market, getting the right products and services to keeping costs low, providing the workforce with the most up-to-date technology and product and services so that keep people, engaged and loyal to your company, and support them in this fast-changing environment to make their job done in qualitative manner, right? And some other things, yeah.
Well, what I noticed is that out of 4 challenges listed in the report, 2 are related to employees. So, and one is related to enable a remote workforce, which is like an obvious need. And another is providing workforce with the most up-to-date technology, products, and services. And why this is notable? Because first of all, we know that there is quite significant employee churn still going on, and companies haven't yet figured out whether they are okay with fully remote work or not. And technology is becoming basically a factor to choosing your employment, to choosing a company you work for. And that was not the case, let's say, a few years ago. Companies were considering that whatever they put in hands of employees, they will be happy and they will use. And sometimes you could hear back from companies, and particularly from IT departments, that they really don't want to use the latest technologies because they don't want to make an extra effort of implementing the latest technologies and so on. But now it's changing, and I think it's a good sign.
Yes, indeed. And this employee factor will appear again as we will discover more insights in very interesting manner as well. But what is also important that these challenges lead also into another interesting insights what those participants shared, right? And these things are related to that fact that basically there is no doubt about the value of technology itself, right? So you don't need any more to convince people that technology can bring value to their business, and that is what also respondents shared, that they actually see big value and they believe into technologies, but where they same time see challenges that how to find new ways to improve their work, to become more competitive. And this competition part, right, that is exactly where you as a vendor or service provider need to think how to position yourself in the way that you showcase exactly that part of your value proposition. So whether it's your software or whether it's your services, how they can improve customer competitive advantage, or help them to win competition and so on. And that is exactly what respondents shared. They also shared that technology vendors not always can demonstrate buyers exactly how their technologies or how their services can help them improve these areas around the competition and competitive advantage, about being more attractive to the potential employees, and how to actually improve the ROI. Despite that many technology vendors actually have ROI part of their story, buyers themselves don't see that being like efficiently communicated to them.
Yes, I think here we again go back to things that we have been talking about again and again about specialization, and that it's much easier to sell if you specialize than if you very intimately understand certain set of your customers, certain industry, certain size of customers, and so on. And if you understand their business processes and business model very well, because if you do, then you have significant advantage in actually demonstrating how exactly your technology impact your customers' business, how it relates to their profitability, and so on. And I think companies will be pressured just to find a way how to demonstrate their products better. And I would imagine that even sometimes if company has a good product, but it cannot demonstrate, then you cannot sell, right? Because how good your product is, if you cannot show, cannot demonstrate, really doesn't matter, I think, no?
Yeah, and you have to demonstrate in various ways, right? It's not only about showing the product itself, which again, from my experience, is quite an often issue. That those demonstrations are not well prepared, well structured to really showcase all the benefits and based on the customer needs, on those what we just discussed. So how exactly this particular solution will address those challenges, right? So how they will help them improving the business outcomes, the competitive advantage, and those things what we just mentioned. Very often those demonstrations are just, click through, hey, here is this feature or another feature, this is how this screen looks like, and so on and so forth, which in some cases is a good idea. But if we think globally, and if we look at what actually the B2B buyers expect, they expect quite different things. But again, that was an interesting insight coming from what buyers have shared, right? What are the priorities? What are the challenges? And we can link that to the expectations and think how we can take it and incorporate in those activities what we are running as a vendor or as a service provider to address them. Another important part of the survey is where the marketeers share their insights. So how do they, as I already mentioned, see marketing activities changing, marketing strategies changing, investments into marketing areas, and so on and so forth. And this survey discovers interesting trend that, first of all, more and more B2B marketeers are adapting to this new or changing buyers behavior, which is very much self driven, so self education, self research, and almost self buying. So there are much less buyers now engaging with the salespeople before they actually have already a decision, more or less. And that is where the big shift is taking place. And it also relates to the investment areas, and what we see that from the survey, that things like social media, search ads, marketing automation, and similar, they are getting more investments than year before, and then so on. And those changes are quite significant. So we see increase in these areas by 9%. For instance, for the search engine marketing, and for digital marketing in social medias, and even tools like marketing automations, and so. And we can conclude from that probably we have reached the point where technology companies have created sufficient amount of the content, and it is time more about delivering this content to the audience, engaging with the audience, and actually building those connections, and same time also capturing the demand what probably already exists. Because what is also interesting to see is from the survey that, for instance, there are areas where investments either stayed the same, or they even have some slight decline, like for instance producing the content, like white papers, like case studies, like ROI calculators, and participating in events, sponsoring events, and so on. These are areas where participants of the survey mentioned that they even reduced their investments at the moment.
Yes, but one thing that comes into mind when reading this survey regarding content is that actually what buyers think about content, right? And if you look at that, then the big problem is content relevancy, and also still substantiating your content with some kind of research, with facts, with references, and so on. So this leads me to think that perhaps there is certain oversaturation with poor quality of of the content. And also at the same time, buyers also mentioned that still like one of top sources in terms of information for them is one is search, social media, vendor website, but then quite high ranks also like third-party analysts or system integrators or partners and so on. So, and I think this just indicates the rise of importance of influencers in B2B as well. And actually, I think in B2B, we also will see the same situation that actual people, persons, personalities will have, how to say, more resonate voice, or they will have more audience and they will have more trust than actually companies would have. And one interesting fact, it's not related to B2B, but I recently learned that actually LeBron James, the famous basketball player, has the number of Twitter followers which exceeds the number of followers for NBA, for women's NBA, for Major League of Baseball, and one other major US national sports association, right? So the personalities have become really massive, hyper-sized influencers, and it seems that it's coming to technologies as well. What do you think, Andres? What's the role of influencers or analysts in B2B?
I think you are pretty right. At least what again the same survey shows. If we look at other insights, what people shared is that actually most of B2B buyers share frustration about the advertisement and the content what they are getting from vendors. Most of them say that it is irrelevant. It doesn't really clearly communicate what it actually wants to communicate, and many other things. So I think definitely there is an area of big opportunity for technology vendors who are looking for building a high quality content, and that way create also like a loyal audience to them, because exactly that is what same time B2B buyers are looking for. So they need help with understanding the problem. They need help with selecting right solutions, evaluating those solutions, and so on and so forth. So, but it seems also that there is a mismatch between what customers are looking for and what actually vendors can provide them with. And I think, again, coming back to this AI topic, I just expect that there will be more and more content created with help of this AI. But the question is exactly about the quality and relevancy and how to say, the quality of this content.
I would say that we are likely to see a huge backlash against AI, because sooner or later there will be some large news about somebody just relying on content on AI to do something very important. Either we'll find AI, ChatGPT texts in some kind of legislation or some kind of news or regulations or something, because I think at the moment there's huge hype, but I find personally, like a person who's working with ChatGPT and similar tools quite well, I find that there is very huge illusion that AI is able to provide good answers or good results, but the problem is that it can provide a good narrative which looks coherent, but the answers are poor. And the risk that there will be avalanche of poorly written or frankly misleading content is very high. And I think it will happen inevitably. So getting through with content will be difficult, but it means just that marketers must really improve the quality of human written content and try to stand apart from the mass that's coming written by AI.
Yeah, and that's for me sounds like a great opportunity, really, for many players out there. But what I would like also to mention as an insight from this report, for me it was quite interesting to see that many of B2B marketeers mentioned that they increase involvement of external resources and into their processes. So basically, almost 78% of marketings have increased reliance on outsourced services and manpower. And I was wondering why it is happening so. And I think it's again because of the agility which is currently required to win this competition, right? This race after new customers, after growing market opportunity, and so on.
And I think I believe it also relates to the role of marketing management itself, because one way for companies to do marketing is do everything in-house. However, I believe that but marketing management should work somewhat similarly to IT management. Basically, you have to manage different services from different vendors, and you need to create basically a mix of world-class services for your company. And very often it's just a case of professionality, because if a company needs a world-class performance with something like one element of their marketing mix, they will find better skills outside from people who are doing it professionally every day. There's just no way around it, because marketing technologies are changing very quickly, algorithms are changing, and you just need critical mass of experience or working with the same thing to reach certain level of mastery. And I think that's inevitable, that marketing does need some external services, or else they cannot put together world-class service.
I think you're absolutely right. So there should be kind of the role of the CMO or marketing, whatever we call it, right, should be reassessed and probably repositioned as well. And that is what this survey also mentioned. And many of participants say that they are actually on the path of evaluating the role of the CMO, right? But on these external partnerships, it is almost, at least according to this survey data, it's almost all about involving external consultants with those competencies what is hard to maintain in-house. For instance, for the strategy, for some research, for some custom activities, and so on and so forth. Tools as well, right? Technology investments and so on. But it's also about the executing, so enhancing your manpower, right, or capacity through some of external partners. But again, you can find those more precise data in the report if you are interested. I definitely would recommend doing this. But now let also us look at what B2B buyers have shared. So, and the first trend we already touched a little bit was related to the content strategy and the quality of the content. And in fact, many buyers feel that technology vendors are not adapting to their changing needs, struggling to provide the support what they actually need, right, and want. And more specifically, like almost 2/3 or even more than that say that they see that the advertising is too vague and it's not relevant to their business, and they also feel that the targeting is not really appropriate, and sometimes and quite often they are getting ads and getting information which is not meant for them or not reflecting what they actually do, and so on and so forth. So again, for me, I also see that trend very much. Even us, we every day receive tons of different emails and ads which like make me think why I'm getting this. And it's probably also related to this previous question or previous point what we discussed about the competencies, about the ability to execute on really high quality those activities. And we still see that there is quite a gap in competence in many areas if companies just try to solve everything in-house, because it's very hard to keep it on that level. Yeah. What is also interesting for me was to discover is that B2B buyers, they actually they were asked to rank different kind of attributes for unlocking the marketing creativity. And for me, it was interesting to see that the top attributes what B2B buyers actually mentioned is, first of all, understanding what ads are trying to sell. So for them, it's super important, what is obvious, but it seems that it's not always the case, and very often is not the case. Secondly, to see if ads are useful or informative, so whether they are really providing something valuable to them. And then whether ads have a clear message, so that it's easy to understand what it actually wants to say, and relevancy of the same. So these are top four, let's say, attributes what marketeers need to take and incorporate again into their activities. And there are much more. Again, you can see the full list and read them more in the report itself. But I think it's really important to take it as an action for you while planning next campaigns. And another trend, what is also part of this report mentioned, is that most of companies are considering digital channels for the short-term gains, right? So that companies are expecting, and we experience the same, so that, hey, we have some budget, we need to invest it, and we need to get fast results in terms of leads, in terms of ideally pipeline, or even sales. However, what really is important is to build your long-term branding, because that is what B2B buyers emphasize as important to them, whether they can trust you, whether you are a recognized company for them, and so on and so forth. And that is where some of marketers also say that they already try to balance that. However, it's very difficult, especially under current market conditions, where everyone is pushed for the very short term results.
Yes, from my side, I can comment that I think there has happened certain shift in market due to COVID, because my feeling and intuition running with multiple campaigns is that after COVID, buyers are more reluctant to engage with offerings if they haven't been, if they are not familiar with the company. So, for example, landing people to webinar is increasingly difficult, but it's much easier if you are marketing to group who are aware of your brand, aware of your company, and so on. And that's happening basically all around. So, and from my side, I have actually looked for some hard numbers and research about that. I have failed to find it. I will say honestly, the closest we could get was some research made in UK, but that was made about retail brands and retail purchases, depending of spending on branding or on activation, right? But it seems that the same relates more and more to technology companies as well. That even to sign up for your, let's say, ebook or sign up for your webinar will happen only if your buyers have some sense of what your company is about, or else it's more and more difficult.
Yeah, and actually it goes beyond that. What is interesting also, that one of the trends highlighted in this report is that technology buyers wants to work with companies with the reputation of good employer, right? And it was quite a big news for me, but it's like 88% mentioned, of respondents mentioned that this is a very important factor for them choosing their partner for the technology implementation or buying technology. So employee branding is becoming a part of your overall marketing strategy, and that is what Euron mentioned about the branding. But you need to think of how you also position yourself as an employer, and that's also something to be incorporated in your activities moving forward. And last thing, what I wanted to mention or discuss during our conversation today is about this multi-touch point buyer journey, right? And that is again something what we probably as marketeers know well, that potential buyers or audience expect you to be in places where they actually present. But again, in this survey, we are getting another proof of the same, that buyers actually expect you to be providing them information and be engaging with them on those different channels, and not only digitally, but also outside of the digital world. And there is an interesting table which represents the different preferences of those channels by different audiences. So the buyers, the marketeers, and the agency marketeers. And you can clearly see that there is quite a mismatch in terms of priorities, where buyers expect and the buyers actually are engaging, and where marketeers are investing their time and efforts to kind of find and engage with the buyers. It's on the first place, it's clearly we see that the social channels, especially LinkedIn and similar, are all across these different audiences. But then going further, you can see that, for instance, buyers mentioned that the second priority for them is the search engine. So that where they actually expecting to find right information and getting advice. And then it's about the web, it's about events, and more importantly, it's what Euron mentioned about those external experts. So this is highly important for B2B buyers, what the external experts actually have in mind about a certain problem or certain solution or even certain vendor. So therefore, engaging with those experts or even building your own community and positioning yourself as a subject matter expert becomes very important for your marketing success. So again, I think there are much more in the report itself, and we highly recommend you finding this report and studying it yourself. You will definitely see many valuable insights to be used in your marketing strategy and execution. But for today, I think we have covered most of questions we actually planned to cover. I hope we gave you a good overview of those insights, what you can get from this report, and we encourage you to learn yourself.
Yes, and the link to the report is available in comments, and in a few minutes I will also publish it on IBD Consulting's LinkedIn page. So make sure you get the report. It's quite comprehensive, quite useful information. I mean, you don't see such reports every day.
Yes, and thank you for being with us. And we just encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn. Just look for IBD Consulting or using hashtag FryTalks, and join us every second Friday for the live session with your questions and your comments. So we always appreciate that. But if for some reason you were not able to be with us live, we always have all episodes available as recording on podcast platforms, on our YouTube channel. So feel free to sign up, and you always will get latest episodes available to you. So thanks a lot for being with us. We wish you a great rest of the Friday, and we meet again in 2 weeks. Bye.